afternoon, everybody. It's Saturday, my friends, and it's time to jump back on in to some game development stuff as we can here. Welcome on in, everybody. Welcome. Hope everyone is doing well right now. Hope you're all healthy and happy and all of those things. So, I have been just a little bit off camera. I haven't done a whole lot, but I have done a little bit of like trying to debug what's going on here. I did find one thing that I missed. Was it in model loader here? You can see I've added a whole bunch of debug logging here. What was the... Is in here? I think it was the, it was the process texture coordinates. So this is the code that I had here, which is stream of X and Y. And when I looked at the code again that I was copying from, it actually had 1 minus the Y. Because apparently it's flipped by default. And so I did that, and I got textures, a little bit more textures that look like they're more correct, but still not everything. And then I was looking through some other resources online and found this flip UVs flag that I could send, and that will automatically flip the texture coordinates for you when it loads them in. So I removed that 1 minus, and what we've got now is this, which is hard to see, but we have some texture here now. We have a texture here loaded. We've got fins kind of loaded here, sort of. And we got some circles around the guns and stuff. Now I'm trying to figure out, I think these are textures. They could also be, for all I know, shadow shading or something. I'm not entirely sure, but I think they're actually texture, the part of the texture file. Let's see if we can find it. So here's the textures. Open this up. So I think what's happening is, I think everything over in the white here, I think, is what's being loaded. I think this white background is loading stuff. And see, I don't see those particular textures in here. So I'm wondering if that's just, if what I'm really seeing are shadows, maybe? Unless it's composed of multiple of these, which could very well be the case. I mean, this kind of looks like part of it and stuff. So I'm not sure on that one, but it does look more correct now, which I think is good. The problem is it's not entirely there, and I've tried to debug. I've did a logger debug to see how many textures, meshes, materials, lights, animations, all that stuff are in the file, and really it's just one. So we have one texture that's diffuse. We have one emissive texture, which makes sense. Now they had talked about in their on the website here. So it says it has 3 texture maps. This, which I don't know how to pronounce. In fact, you know what? Let's see if we can figure it out. I'm thinking it's albedo, but I don't know How to pronounce... Let's see if I can hear it. I don't think it's... Turn this on here for a second. Nope, that's not going to work. I don't think I have the... Let me unmute the audio here. Let's see if it works. I don't think that's coming through. Doesn't look like it's coming through up on the thing there. All right, so I don't know. I'll have to figure out how that is pronounced. But it seems to say albedo based on that, so that's what I'll go with. So it says it has a 3 texture match: albedo, emissive, and it doesn't mention the third one, right? So I'm guessing this is kind of covers 2 of them. So I don't know, but when I look at it, and they have a little model inspector here, which is kind of cool. It's got all kinds of stuff, like you can see the base color, emissive, specular, all that stuff. No post-processing, final render, all of that. So I was trying to use this to maybe see if I could figure out what exactly I'm missing. And I haven't quite figured it out yet. So that's sort of what we're struggling with right now. And so I was looking at, I found another thing called Learn OpenGL. So what I've noticed, and this is what's kind of find this interesting. There's not a lot of sources, not a lot of good resources around LWJGL library, or even for that matter around using Java for Joggle and Joel and all the things that are under the covers, It seems to me like everyone says just look at the C++ examples and just translate them to Java, which is certainly doable, and that's what I'm looking at right now. This is all C++ I'm looking at right now. But that kind of gives me insight into the kind of weirdness that I'm seeing with a lot of the resources that we do have that are doing Java stuff. Because it seems to me like that seems to be what everyone is doing. They're just looking at the C or C++ code, and then they're translating it directly to Java. Almost one for one, right? And that's why I think that's why I keep running into code that I'm like, why is this written this way? No person who uses Java for any length of time would write this way. And I'm starting to get an inkling as to why that is. I think a lot of people are just copying from or just translating directly from C++ without making any real big alterations to it. So that's kind of giving me more information to go on there. But I've been looking through like some examples here. And other than the tangent thing that they have here, and tangent, they have tangent and bit tangent here. All I can think of is that's the thing that I'm missing, but I don't know for sure, because they've also got bones and weights here, which I haven't gotten into. And I'm not sure I need to get into that just yet. So I'm trying to like peel off what makes sense versus what doesn't at the moment. I've picked up some books, some actual regular paperback books. And I was just perusing through them earlier before the stream, and I have one on libgdx, which looks like it's a decent introduction to how to use libgdx, which more I look at it, the more I'm realizing that just basically sits on top of LWJGL and everything else. So it's just another abstraction layer on top of an abstraction layer. Not that LWJGL has much of an abstraction layer to begin with, but it's still one on top of another one. And I'm intrigued by that, but at the same time, I feel like it's taking me one step away from actually understanding what the hell I'm doing. So I'm kind of not sure if I want to go down the libgdx route right now. If I was doing something for real that I really thought I'd make anything out of, I might go down that route. But it's also something that, like, I'm not putting it out of my brain as something I wouldn't do. It's just more of a, I want to hold off on that until I actually kind of understand the fundamentals a little bit better. And then once I kind of understand the fundamentals a little bit better, then maybe something like an additional abstraction layer like libgdx would be a good thing. In fact, probably would be a good thing. But right now, I'm just trying to learn the basics. And there's an argument for saying, like, I should ditch LWJGL altogether and just bring in Joggle and Joel and all the other libraries it uses under the covers and just bring them in directly and use them. But I don't think, from what I'm seeing, LWJGL doesn't actually do much other than add additional utilities on top of those libraries. Like, it looks like it takes those libraries in directly and is just kind of adding some utilities on top to help you with, like, memory management and stuff like that. So it doesn't seem like it would matter to me, like it would matter much to change that around. So why am I learning GameDev? Because I just feel like it. That's all. Well, go on and ask. Yeah, I just feel like learning it. That's all. I wanted to learn something. And it's kind of something that I'm interested in. That's all. No real reason other than that. So yeah, I'm just trying to figure out why this model's not loading in entirely, what I'm missing. And I was looking at so this is the code repository for this Learn OpenGL thing. So I've been looking through their code because the explanation they have on their page is very very light. And where's the other one at? Here's the chapter 9. So here's the chapter 9 thing from Learn LWJGL. Which I think I've got everything in from there. I don't think I missed anything. I mean, I've kind of looked over it a couple times, and I don't think I missed anything there. The one thing I did see a mention of is we're using texture 0. Like, there's up to, for OpenGL, a maximum of 32 texture buffers, and we're using buffer 0, and buffer 0 is usually used for GUI stuff. menus and UI elements and stuff like that. I don't think there's any hard and fast rule around that, but that seems to be what a lot of people agree on. And so a lot of times you load model textures into like, you know, bucket 1 through 31 and not 0. But again, I don't think that's causing the problem that I'm seeing. I don't honestly know what I'm missing, or what I've processed incorrectly, or didn't process at all. So I've been looking through, like, what else does it have? Does it have cameras? I mean, so logger, debug. Actually, you know what? Let's copy this one. And is there anything else in the scene object that I haven't really looked at? I mean, there's animations. I doubt there's any animations in there. Oh, I already have the M number of animations, and so that was 0, I believe. Metadata, unique versions, or vendors, or model specific data. Okay. Number of lights, number of materials, meshes, skeletons, textures I already have. And that's it, really. So I'm printing out everything that's in scene there, which is, so meshes we have 1, materials we have 1, and everything else is 0. And then as far as texture coordinate sets, because I heard you can have up to 8 of them, so you can have like different coordinate sets for different layered textures. We apparently only have texture coordinates at 1. So there's only 1 texture coordinate set, or 0 really. 1 through 7 are all null. So I'm not missing anything there. There's 20,886 coordinates in set 0, which is, you divide that by 2 because it's X and Y. It's counting both of those as individually. So there's about 10,444, I guess, in there. And then there's 15,924 faces with 31,332 vertices, which again, this is, you divide this by 3, right? Because it's X, Y, and Z there. The same with the indices, I think, is X, Y, and Z. So we kind of divide those. And then the colors also has to be divided. So there's stuff there. There's, so number of colors is bringing stuff back. Now, am I? Oh, actually, number of colors was not bringing stuff back. So I thought I was missing that piece. So I did this process colors, where I said, like, you know, if there's any color coordinates, bring them back, but there wasn't, and so it's really times 4. So I'm really just giving it an empty list there. So there's no colors defined in there either. It seems like it's just getting all that stuff from either from the texture or from, I guess, the emissive stuff. Because we have an emissive texture count. So I did all the counts here, and we have an emissive texture, but we don't have any colors associated with it. We have a diffuse texture, nothing specular, nothing height based, nothing under base color, nothing under normals, nothing under opacity, metalness. We don't even have anything under none. So it's a pretty simple model. It's just, model file, I should say. It's just I'm missing some connective glue here, because I'm just getting a white model with a few decals on it, but mostly, you know, it's yeah, I don't know what's going on there. So reverse these number textures, indices. Just for sake of argument, let's look at it again. This is what I'm getting. So I'm getting that, which it looks like it's loaded the model correctly. It's just nothing else about it is correct. It's like it's not. It's like it's not either not finding the texture coordinates or it's not binding them correctly to the model. Or it is, and I'm just like maybe this because the scene doesn't have any lights in it. Maybe it's causing an issue. I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at right now. And I've tried like removing the generate bitmap and stuff, and it doesn't seem to do anything. This unpack alignment, I commented that out just to see if it was having any effect, and it doesn't seem to be having any effect. I changed the order of these just in case the order mattered, and I changed like the type of flag it was attaching to them, and that didn't seem to have much of an effect. I looked up, you know, what if it doesn't have RGBA, and it says to everything I've seen says that I'll just get a I will get a it'll give me the 4 coordinates back, even if it doesn't, even if the file doesn't have alpha channels in it. So, but I could also try it without the alpha channel to see what happens. Again, though, I'm not sure that's really the issue. Just putting everything into a buffer. So this bitmap, it's got texture 2D and texture 2D array. How it is bound to target. Okay. Generate texture bitmap. what does that do? So generates bitmaps for specified texture object. For GL generate bitmap, the texture object that is bound to target. Texture's name and texture object. Map generation replaces textile image levels with images derived from that. The internal formats. Right. So they have a bind texture here. So did I actually call bind? I do. Okay. So I'm binding the texture to that, and then it's generating the bitmap based on what I bound the texture to. Okay. So that's fine. So GL text parameter I is what? Parameter to set. Border color compare mode. Swizzle. Text parameter I. Wait, where did that other page go that I had open? Here we go. Texture text parameter. Okay. Description. Following symbols are accepted in p-name. Depth stencil texture mode. Format textures. Base level specifies the index of the lowest defined bitmap level. This is an integer value. The initial value is 0. Border color. Data and param specifies 4 values that define the border values that should be used for border texels. Okay. Texture compare function. Min filter. What does this do? Texture minifying function used whenever the level of detail function used when sampling from the texture determines that the texture should be minified. There are 6 defined minifying functions. 2 of them use either the nearest texture elements or a weighted average of multiple texture elements to compute the texture value. The other 4 use bitmaps. A bitmap is an ordered set of arrays representing the same image at progressively lower resolutions. If the texture has dimensions 2 inches by 2 inches, there are max nm plus 1 bitmaps. Okay. So that's what the generate bitmap is doing. It's generating lower resolution versions of the texture so that when you zoom out from it, it still looks decent. Okay. To define the bitmaps, call GL text image 2D 3D with the level argument indicating the order of the bitmaps. Level 0 is the original texture, level max is the final 1x1 bitmap. Unifying texture. So GL nearest returns the value of the texture element that is nearest in Manhattan distance to the specified texture coordinates. Linear is the weighted average of 4 texture elements that are closest to specified coordinates. Nearest bitmap nearest most closely matches the size of the pixel. Linear bitmap nearest. Okay. It most closely matches the size of the pixel being textured and uses GL linear criterion. Okay. Alright, so then we're using linear bitmap. Okay, so that's what that means when they're doing that. And the mag filter, I assume, is the opposite. Use whenever level detail function used when sampling texture determines the texture should be magnified. Yep. Okay. Okay. So wrap S sets the wrap parameter for texture coordinate to either GL clamp to edge, clamp to border, GL mirrored, repeat, or mirror clamped edge or clamped edge. Causes S coordinates to be clamped to the range where N is the size of texture in the direction of clamping. The fetch textile data is substituted with the value specified GL texture border color repeats energy. Blah, blah. Okay. GL repeat. So if the texture, if you get to the end of the texture, basically this is like tiling the texture. Basically, how to do that. So they got S and T, which are really Greek letters. So probably sigma and theta, question mark. And then they've got R. Initially, GL texture wrap R is set to GL repeat. The same with T and S. So I don't actually have to set those if I'm going to set them to repeat, right? Because it says they're initially set to repeat. So, okay. So, just out of curiosity, if I remove those, yeah, I get the same thing. Okay, yeah. So you don't need those if they're set to if they default to this. I understand why the tutorials are saying them, just to kind of get you used to saying them, but you know, they haven't changed them from their defaults. Gen textures. Returns n texture names and textures. There's no guarantee the names for a continuous set of integers. The generated textures have no dimensionality. They assume the dimensionality of the texture target. Are not returned by subsequent calls. Okay. So here's the other thing too. They set these texture parameters and then generate bitmap afterwards. Like, well, first of all, they set them and then they do the text image 2D and then generate bitmap. Oh, then yeah, and they bind the texture up here. So, and this is just resetting it, the binding on it. Okay. So these really should be of those. Otherwise, which kind of makes sense because you're setting the parameters, but then you've already generated the image, so those parameters didn't really take effect, right? We have the bind up here, so the bind does come before that, right? Yes. Oh, wait. No, GLGen textures. Yeah. GLGen textures bind. Okay. So, run this. I mean, yeah, I figured it would still be the same, but I just wanted to make sure we weren't worse off than we were when I started. Okay. Yeah, it makes more sense there. So... So level is the bitmap level. I've set it to 0, which is the default texture, which makes sense. That's correct. Internal format, width and height. No border. Format. Type is unsigned byte. And maybe the type is wrong, but it doesn't seem like it would be. And then the buffer. And we get this from the width.get and height.get from loading the image. Yeah, see this here, it says like channels in file and then desired channels. And it's my understanding that if the desired channels doesn't match the number of channels in the file, it'll just make it, like if you say 4, it'll just give you 4. It'll just pad it out with zeros. Or an alpha value or something. It's definitely loading it. It's definitely loading the texture file. I'm not getting an error there. I'm actually getting a byte buffer back. Although for all I know, there might not be anything in the byte buffer. But this says, loads an image from the return value from the image loader is an unsigned char star, which points to the pixel data or null on an allocation failure, or if the image is corrupt or invalid. Pixel data consists of Y scan lines of X pixels, with each pixel consisting of N interleaved 8-bit components. No padding between image scan lines or between pixels, regardless of format. If you set desired channels to 4, you'll always get RGBA output, but you can check channels and file to see if it's truly opaque because there are only 3 channels in the source image. And then this work goes into that. Paletted PNG, BMP, GIF, and PIC images are automatically optimized. Create a width, height, and component count of an image without having to decode, blah, blah, blah. Certain limits on image size. These differ somewhat in format, but generally boil down to either just under 2 gigabytes or just under 1 gigabyte. When a decoded image would be larger than this, STB image decoding will fail. It will reject image files that have any of their dimensions set to a larger value than configurable max dimensions. So width and this does give you unsigned char. Yeah, unsigned char. So it's definitely unsigned byte is the correct thing there. What else do we have to texture parameter? Yeah, I don't think there's anything there that would particularly help me. Over here. This says it has 2 material channels, which makes sense. I think they have a the base color. So base color. Huh. Text normals, wireframe. So, is it more of a issue that I'm just not processing the normals? Did it have any in there that I saw? So there's no normals texture. Like this, like it only found 2 textures in there. Diffuse and emissive. I only found 1 mesh and 1 material. And only 1 texture coordinate set. So, let me see something here. So when I load the model in, material here. So we're looping over all the materials. You know there's only one in there. This is material. Some path to the model. Wait, what did I do here? I changed something in here. Process material, model path. Oh, right, because I wasn't... In here, I was getting the material texture... I'm just loading it in, but now all this is really doing is getting the material color. I wonder if because I'm doing texture type none there, I'm just getting the wrong color. Oh, I mean, let's try something. Let's do... Hey, Tech, welcome on in. Start a new channel for having as an affiliate. I'll bring back. Okay, cool. Cool. How you doing, by the way? What if I did diffuse here? I mean, the worst that happens is, well, nothing, right? Let's try it. Holy shit. You're freaking kidding me. That was what I was missing that whole time? I was taking it from the wrong... I was loading the wrong color. Huh. Okay, Tech, thanks. Thanks for the follow from your second channel. I appreciate it greatly. Thank you, thank you. How you doing, by the way? Everything good? Did you have a good holiday? You have one non-affiliate and one that will be. Okay, that works. Yeah, I've started digging into whatchamacallit, the Moonbeam Alpha. Moonbeam's another streaming service that's starting up. And I back them on BackerKit and everything. I've started kind of digging into that to see what that's like, but I haven't started streaming there yet because we don't yet have the ability to change our realm names. And the realm name they gave me was about as lame can be. So I'm like, I don't want to stream to a realm name. It's like Remote Cloud or something is the name of the realm. I'm like, I'm not going to stream to that. What the hell? Um, yeah, Moonbeam. Yep, that's the name of it. Um, so I've been I haven't started over there yet. I've just started like looking at like they just opened it up late last night to the alpha backers. Yeah, they apparently they gave everybody a name except for ones who were in the early the closed alpha. Um but they said that they're working on allowing you to change the realm name. Like my username is my own, but the realm the way they're doing it like a Discord thing, right? Where you have a Discord server, and this is basically the realm is like a Discord server. And so you've got chat channels and you've got streaming channels and all that stuff and different permissions and everything. Um, the only thing they don't have yet, which they said they're working on, is to be able to change the name of the server, the name of the realm. Um, so they just kind of assigned them, which is weird. Um, but I kind of, I mean, I can kind of understand why they assigned them, but I don't know why they went into alpha without like giving you the ability to change that name. Like they, like you could change everything else. You could change the, customize all kinds of things, but not the name, which is just really strange. Um, but I'm kind of interested to see what they're doing. It looks like they're, um, it's an interesting idea. Um, I don't know how far it's going to go, but you know, I'm kind of interested in the idea itself. So if it's, I think it's alpha moonbeam dot stream. Yeah. Hang on, let me sign in for a second here. So I told it to save my account details. And it didn't. Oh, it did save them, but it saved them to completely different domain name. Beamstream. No, that's something else. No. What the hell? Where the hell did it save them to? What the hell? Bitwarden? What are you doing to me here? I had this stuff saved. Where's it at? What's it saved under? Saved it in the right place. What the hell? I guess it just hasn't updated on my I guess it hasn't updated on my other computer here yet, which is very strange. Let's see. I don't know why it takes this new monitor like 30 seconds to switch between one source and another. Drives me nuts here. There we go. So, where are we at? This one. This is what it looks like right now. This is their alpha. So all these are like realms that are featured. I guess, homepage featured. And you can visit all of them. May not do much, but yeah. I don't think anybody's really set anything up yet. Because, like I said, it went live like really late last night. But then I have like my realm here. Right, and see, they just gave me like a random name, which is weird, and you can't change it. You change everything else, but you can't change that, which is just strange right now. They said they're working on it though. So I'm not going to stream there until I can change that, because I'm not streaming to that. But yeah, they got like, you got channels and stuff. So it looks and feels a lot like Discord, and then you've got your streams here, and then you can have multiple streamers join your realm. But what's kind of weird and strange about that is you like, you can invite people and stuff. You give them different roles. But it looks like, and this is the part that I'm not sure how this is going to go around, how this is going to go over. But it looks like it's the realm that gets paid for, like, when people subscribe or like send you moonbeams and stuff, which is like their you know, their bits, their version of bits. That then, so it's the realm that gets those, and then you set up the cut that all the streamers get on your realm, which on the one hand is understandable. On the other hand, I'm not sure that's what I expected coming in. Because at that point, it's like the realm sort of becomes like, there's going to be a lot of people who just have only one streamer on their realm, right? So you're kind of defeating the purpose of having these realms in the first place, kind of, sort of. Because a lot of people, just like myself, just don't want to deal with, like, well, who gets this split and who gets that split, right? You know, as far as like streaming goes. Like, I mean, I can understand it if you have a stream team and like you're all like combined your business and stuff like that, and they have something like, they have some people that they've worked with where where's the I don't see them here, but they had like a GameDev company that has a realm, and they're like, all these streamers can stream our games and you'll get, you know, whatever, you'll get your share of whatever the bits are, which I think is interesting, because that's kind of like, you know, if they could get someone like GOG or something like that to have their stream team come over from Twitch, which I doubt they'll do, but if they could, you know, have them come over from Twitch and then like actually pay them for their time, that's actually kind of cool. But I don't know, we'll have to see. I'm not sure how that's all gonna kind of flesh out. But I think, I mean, there's a lot of people who are just like, I think there's a lot of people who are just waiting for them to be able to change their names here so that they can actually do something before they'll actually stream on there. I find it odd that of all the things that they left out of the alpha, like, you know, with all the customizations they have in the alpha, they left that one most important customization out, which tells me that that tells me that name has some kind of significance in their system, which it shouldn't. It should be just an internal ID, right? And it shouldn't really matter what your name is. It just, you have an internal ID and boom, you're done. And you can change your name as many times as you want. And it sounds like that's not what they have set up. So I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully they get to that faster than or sooner than later. But yeah, that's kind of looking at that a little bit. So we'll see. Anyway, all right. So over here, so that was the whole problem right there. Was I was looking at the wrong. I was grabbing the wrong material color. I wonder if this wasn't even returning success and I was just getting the default color that we set up. That's interesting. That's really interesting. I mean, it makes perfect sense. Yeah, and it's actually, and it's loading all the texture. Well, is it, I don't know if it's loading all the textures because I need to be able to rotate this. So that's the next thing. But that looks like the flat base color model, right? From head on here. So got textures there. So from head on, I would say that's pretty darn close. Okay. Wow. We've been hung up on that for how long now? It's just that one little thing there. And what's funny is this was how they had it set up in the tutorial, but it makes sense in the tutorial because they're using a different file type. Whereas this one I had to pull it from there. Okay. Well, that gives me food for thought. Okay. So all the shaders and everything are working correctly. It was just that one little thing. That one little oversight on my part. It wasn't even really an oversight on my part. It was just like trying to figure out what's going on. Okay. So that's cool. So so let's see. So have that. Okay. Kind of get rid of these for the moment. So that's all loading now. Trying to clean up some of this so I can see what I'm looking at. All right. And yeah, so now I want to be able to rotate the model itself. So I want to link that back in again. So what I got to figure out is let's see where they were doing their rotation stuff. Pretty sure. I think they have it under their scene here. Scene render. No. Render. Model. Where did that go? The main here, input. Here we go. So they're moving the camera and not the model, which I think it actually is probably a better idea to move the camera around. Scene get camera. So that's in their scene. We have a camera class. Okay, so I guess we'll need the camera class. View matrix identity, rotate X, rotate Y, translate. Position set rotation. Sure. I mean, having a movable camera is pretty important, so we can do that. Because really the player is the camera, right? So I want to be able to move that around. Although in reality, if I'm using a spaceship, if it's third person, it's like the camera is fixed to a position and then it just kind of rotates around along with the model, I guess, kind of. So, hey, Outlaw. Welcome on in. Happy Saturday to you as well. How you doing? How you feeling, dude? Oh, we just had a little breakthrough, Outlaw. I've got the model loading now. Bam. One little change I made, and now I've actually got something rendering correctly and loading. Well, as correctly as I can find it. Figure it out anyway. So got that working. Just a few minutes ago. So there's that. Now I'm just working on moving a camera through the scene here. So direction, position, right, rotation up, view matrix. Direction right up, position. So camera position makes sense. Direction makes sense, which is what direction it's pointing in. Right and up. I guess up is to determine if you're upside down. I don't know what the right is for, though. Does right even get used? In this file, yeah, it does get used. Position add right. Move right. Positive X right. Multiply by increment. Move left. Subtracts from right. Interesting. Feeling okay. Just got back from my parents' place. Waiting for Jane to write me. It's working today. Okay, cool. I'm feeling all right. It's funny. So I've mentioned this before, but I think my body's on like a 1 month lag time as far as like losing weight is concerned, because it's like I seem to be able to lose about 10 pounds a month, but no more and no less. And it's like there's weeks between every time it's happening. And right now, over the last 2 days, I'm starting to lose weight again, even though I haven't changed anything significantly. It's just all of a sudden my body's like, all right, we'll start losing weight again, which is hilarious. It's like I'm having a time of the month or something. It's just very strange. Um, so so I'm just starting to lose again, you know. It's, yeah, so I'm starting to lose again. So hopefully in the next couple days, maybe I'll be down to 50 pounds lost, which will be really awesome. And with any luck, before I go see a doctor again, maybe another 10 pounds will decide to melt away randomly. And that will be even better. I decided that I'm not going to take the weight loss injection crap that they prescribe for me. Not the least of which because it's still not covered by insurance. They got a pre-authorization for it. And so the insurance is like, well, we'll pay for a little bit of it. And so it went from being $1,200 and something for 4 injections, which is a month's supply, down to like $206 for a month's supply. But they've already announced, like, you know, we had our like yearly re-up for insurance, and they'd already announced that they're not going to cover it this coming year either. So I'm like, maybe it's just not worth even attempting it right now. Like, won't even take any and just, you know what I mean? And just do and just roll without it. Because I'm, you know, the cravings suck. They always do. But I'm in a unique position where I determine what food's in the house, and I just have to stop. I just have stopped buying terrible stuff. You know what I mean? So one way or the other, you know, the cravings are there, but there's no way to satisfy them. So I just have to suffer through them. And so far it's working, you know? So maybe you have tapeworm now. It's helping. Tapeworm. Yeah. Right. Who knows? Who knows at this point? Yeah, it's, oh man. It's just, yeah, it's one of those things. And that's like I said, the last time I did this years and years ago, it was the same way. It was like, it just, my body just operates weird, where it's like, you wake up one day and you're 3 pounds less than you were. Like, you're stuck at the same weight every day for like 3 weeks. And then you wake up one morning and you're 3 pounds less. And you're like, I didn't do anything. And then you wake up the next morning and you're 2 pounds less. You're like, I still didn't do anything. What the hell? You know, it's just, it is what it is. Yeah, it's a lot. Like, that's the thing. It's like, and I'm kind of leery about the whole concept of it. Like, I get what I understand sort of what the weight loss drugs are doing. Basically, they're making it so that you always they're delaying your stomach emptying when you take them. So you feel full longer, and because you are full longer, and so you don't have the cravings as much in theory. But big question I have on my mind there is, does that ever end? Right? Like, suppose I were to take it for, suppose I were to pay the $200 a month for the next year or something, and I got down to a decent weight. Do you ever stop taking that? Or are you now stuck taking that? And if you're stuck taking that, does it keep on happening? Do you keep on losing weight even when you don't want to lose anymore? Right? Like, there's a lot of questions that they don't seem to have any answers for, or any good answers for. And I'm like, you know, do I really want to start something that, in theory, by doing it this way, I'm in more control and I'm sort of learning how to deal with cravings and stuff, but I'm finding alternate ways of dealing with it, like some, eat an apple or something like that, So I don't know. That's the things that I'm just kind of leery about. I get that it's all FDA approved and everything, but like, I don't know. I'm still, maybe I'm having an old man moment. These darn kids and their newfangled drugs. Maybe that's all it is. Maybe I'm just having that senior moment right now. Back in my day, you just jumped on a bike. Yeah, I don't know. It's entirely possible. I always have that room for that. You have to take them all the time, or there's a shot that counteracts the other shot. Yeah, exactly. Right. You've been that old man. Yeah, I know. It's just like, it's just one of those things, right? It's just like, I appreciate the option. I don't know. I just don't know that it's the correct option for me. Like, I could see it being a lifesaver for someone who is like morbidly obese. And because, even the doctor said, like, people are starting to use this as an alternative to having like gastric bypasses, which, hey, if it saves you from having potentially dangerous surgery, then awesome. But I wasn't that far gone. I was getting there, but I wasn't that far gone. So I was like, maybe I should just not do that. The good news is, I did have a blood test recently, and I have reversed the hemoglobin H1B or whatever that said that I was pre-diabetic. I'm now back down to normal. So that's good. The only problem that came up with that was my potassium and my calcium were a little bit high. And I think I realized what was going on. I've been taking a protein powder. And I looked at the nutrition facts on it, and it's got a ton of, and my bad cholesterol also went up too. And I'm like, what the hell's going on with that? And I looked at the protein powder, nutrition things, and it had like 150 milligrams of cholesterol and like 200 milligrams of calcium and like 200 milligrams of potassium. I'm like, maybe I should stop taking this, because I think my body's saying, we got enough of this. We don't need any more of that. So I stopped taking that like a week or two ago. And I have to go back and get like another follow-up tests. So we'll see if all those numbers come back down. They weren't like astronomically high, but they were definitely elevated. So, and I think I did that to myself. So, you know, and I'm looking around like on Amazon at all the different like protein powders and stuff, and they've all got some nasty shit in them. Like you don't like they don't look nasty when you look at them. But then when you compare them and you see and you have actual numbers to see like what it actually does to you after like a month of taking it, it's clear to me that these were not like they're billed as like to help you lose weight. But I'm thinking it's more like they're really intended for you like just to build muscle and not lose weight. Like you have to, I feel like you have to be really, really healthy before you start taking that crap. Because otherwise it just kind of throws, either that or you never eat anything. And that's the only way you're getting calcium and protein and potassium and stuff, you know? But it's not the first time I've taken like a supplement and realized that like my body's like, no, you don't need this, you know? You know, you take a supplement for like a week, and then because you hear all this stuff like, oh, it's, you know, it's good, you know, alpha blocker and all this stuff, and then, you know, your pee turns green, and you're like, okay, body's telling me it doesn't need this anymore. Stop taking that. Ask me how I know about that. That has happened once before. So another experiment that was well intentioned but ended up not being necessary, I guess. You know, so hey, you know, at least I learned it early on. I'd only been taking it for like a month, so that was good. Although it did boost my protein numbers too. I mean, they were still normal, but they were high normal. So, I mean, it did that at least, but it also did everything else too, which wasn't great. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's exactly what happened, Outlaw. It was like, I didn't go to the doctor, but I was at work. I was working. It was a different place I was working at. This was years ago. And I was at work and I, you know, went to the restroom and I'm like, why does it look like, it literally looked like the cartoon nuclear waste color, like that fluorescent green that you would see in cartoons. I was like, this is not normal. And I looked it up online. It's like, yeah, if you're taking this particular supplement and you have too much of this or vitamin or not too much of that vitamin, it could do that. And I was like, I happen to be taking that. Yeah, okay, we're going to throw that in the trash. And we're never going to take that again. But that literally happened to me. I was like, okay. So, because basically it's just, you know, it's basically your kidneys being like, all right, we already have too much of this, so out it goes, you know, and that's what it was doing. So always, the advice as always is always listen to what your body's telling you. If something's weird, it might be your body telling you that you don't need the thing that all the health freaks are telling you that you need. Write a review if you want Halloween green, take this stuff. Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't even remember what the supplement was. It was like some super it was like the latest craze. It was like an alpha, like a B12 or some weird thing. I couldn't even remember what it was, and it was just like, yeah, I didn't need it. I thought I maybe needed it. I was like, nope. I mean, it just goes to show you more and more that we need easier access to like nutritionists to be like, all right, look, what do I need? What don't I need? You know, unfortunately, that also means more blood tests, I guess. If they would make the blood tests easier, that'd be swell. And by that I mean me not sitting there in the chair while the phlebotomist gets frustrated because she can't find a vein. I want Star Trek tricorders, medical tricorders, as fast as we can get them. I need them stat. I'm tired of having to apologize to the person taking my blood that when they're getting frustrated and they can't find a vein. Like, they're like, I'm sorry, I'm not doing it on purpose. It's just, you know, you just gotta dig around some and find it. You just take it once and use it right the first time. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Now, I mean, that's the hardest part is it's like, you know, is I know I'm going to go in there and I'm going to get stuck 3 different times by 2 different people. And I have to apologize to them because, like, it's not, I mean, what can I do, you know? And something that should take, you know, 10 minutes ends up taking an hour because, you know, you got to wait for the other person to free up to come in and take it and all that stuff. It's just, because apparently I did not know this. At least at LabCorp anyway. They're only permitted to try to take blood twice. Like, one person's only permitted to try to take it twice, and then they have to get somebody else to take it, which I did not know. I found that out though, because the one nurse was saying to me, like, or phlebotomist was saying to me, I'm not supposed to do this. This is my 3rd attempt. I'm not supposed to do more than 2 attempts, but I'm going to do it anyway. I was like, hey, go have at it. Go for it. I won't tell anybody. Yeah, they told me to do that too, LO. Like, drink a lot. Are you drinking a lot of water? And they just keep accusing me of not drinking enough water. I'm like, I literally could not drink more water. It's like, what do you want from me? I mean, under normal circumstances, under normal days, I'm probably not drinking enough water. But before I have a blood test, I'm usually drinking constantly. And they still have a problem because what happens is, apparently when they go for a vein, it retracts. And it keeps moving around and wiggling around when they try to go for it. And I'm like, I'm not doing it. You know? What can I tell you? You know? Come take more and more and never end it. Yeah. How many times every few hours someone had to come in and take more. Yeah. I mean, Tech, I had to, when I went to the emergency room earlier this year, 4 nurses. It took 4 nurses to get a IV line going because they could not find a vein. You know? And they're apologizing like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. We're digging around." I'm like, I'm used to this at this point. Just find it, you know? You don't have to be gentle with it. Just find a damn vein. You know? There's one there somewhere. I'm alive, so there's got to be one there somewhere. Just keep digging around till you find it, you know? Right? It's just like, what can he do? And what's funny about that too is they finally got a line going, and I went to get later on that morning. I went to get pushed me in to get a full body scan. Not an MRI, but a CT scan, a full body CT scan, and they did it with the contrast, so they inject you with the dye, and the technician is saying like, okay, I'm gonna we're gonna hook you up to the dye here, and we're gonna inject you with it. It's gonna burn and all this stuff, and just try to stay as still as you can and all that stuff. And so they did it. They went through the whole thing and injected the dye and all that stuff. And then we get done, and the technician comes in and she goes, Did you feel the dye? I was like, yeah, I felt it. And she was very confused that I had no reaction to it. I'm like, at this point, I've been poked and prodded so many times, I don't know what kind of reaction you're looking for. I'm sorry I wasn't overly dramatic about it, but like, you warned me, and yeah, it stung a little bit. Whoop-de-doo. You hate to die, it burns and warms up. Yeah, it definitely feels like you're like having a fever, definitely. It's not nearly as bad, Outlaw, as when back right before I was going into college, part of the college admission said that I needed to get a hepatitis C vaccine, B or C. I can't remember what variant it was, but it's like 3 injections you have to take over the course of like 3 months, and it was required for college admissions. So I went in to get I was getting, I think, my second injection, and went to the doctor and everything, and the nurse comes in and says, so we forgot to take the vaccine out of the refrigerator. We forgot you were coming in today, and we forgot to take the vaccine out of the refrigerator. She said, so you can either wait for about half an hour for it to warm up, or we can just give it to you now. And that's all she said. She didn't say like, by the way, this is going to sting like all hell if we give it to you without warming it up. No, she didn't say that. She just said, that's all she said. It was like, you can have one or the other. So I was like, well, I'll just take it now. What's the big deal? She said, okay. So she brings it out and is about ready to inject me. And she says, oh, by the way, this might sting a little bit. I was like, oh, okay. So she injects me with it, and it literally felt like my blood was boiling, right? Because you hit that very cold liquid hitting your very warm body, and it's just like, it felt like I felt it go through my entire body, like travel the whole way, and it just felt like blood was like boiling the whole time. And she gets done, she injects it, she gets done, she says, okay, so how you feeling? I'm like, okay. She's like, does it hurt? And I'm like, yeah. Like, well, it'll go away in a couple minutes. So I learned the interesting way that if you're ever given the option to get a vaccine that hasn't been warmed up yet, wait for it to warm up first to room temperature. Don't cry. Yeah, exactly. That's how I felt. I was like, I haven't had a problem with getting injections since I was a kid, and then, suddenly, like, I'm getting this injection. I'm like, this actually really hurts. I'm just kind of biting my lip like, this actually kind of hurts quite a bit. But like they say, it just once you've had the experience, everything else just kind of pales in comparison. Like the when they injected me with the dye, I was like, oh yeah, I know this feeling. This is easy. This is easy mode at this point. Oh man. It is really funny though. It's funny the things you learn without really realizing you're about to learn something. Like you walk into a situation thinking, oh, I have nothing, this is just going to be routine, and then you actually learn something from it. And it's maybe not what you expected to learn. Oh man. Do the camera class, and then what did they have here? Direction, position, right, rotation up. Right. Okay. Direction, position, right, rotation. Rotation. Of course, I put them in the wrong order. Direction, position. So it's position, right and up. Direction, position, rotation, right, up, and then view matrix. Oh, and you were asking earlier, well, what I changed. So there were two things. One is that I found out off camera that when I was loading texture coordinates, I had missed down here a 1 minus y, which was actually in the example. But it turned out, as I was digging into why that was necessary, I found another resource that said just put this flag on there, this flip UVs, which flips the texture coordinates around on the y-axis, and that eliminates the need to do a 1 minus there. And then the other thing, which we found out on camera, is the example I had was trying to load this material color, but it was doing texture type none instead of diffuse. And so my guess is it wasn't actually finding that. And so I changed this to diffuse, which is the actual texture that we're using, and then suddenly all the colors are correct again. So that was the big wazoo right there doing that. So those were the two changes I had to make. Very small changes, but they make a huge difference. Matrix. Oh, he just sets them to something. All right, so I'll do it now. So I don't need the constructor then. So they're just doing gets. So they have a getter and a setter for position and rotation. They have a getter for the view matrix. That's it. Okay. So we'll do source, generate, getters and setters. So direction, position, and then a getter for the view matrix. Generate those. And then they have like convenience methods here. So add rotation. Rotation add X and Y. Why wouldn't you just do like rotate left and rotate right instead of add rotation? Well, you have set rotation. Rotation set. Rotation add. Interesting. Hey, Premiere, welcome on in. How you doing? Will the camera just rotate around? Yeah, right now I'm just doing. I just want to get the camera to rotate around the model. Instead of rotating the model itself like what I was doing before, I want to just rotate the camera. And actually, I want to be able to move the camera around the model. So it'll be rotation, up and down, all that stuff. Because that's closer to what you would normally do in a game. Like the player, like in a first-person game, the player is basically the camera. In third person, it's the same, except the camera is fixed to the movement of the player itself. Like it's fixed behind it. What I ultimately want to do is have it as a third-person camera behind the ship. And then you can add like a little bit of rotation to the model itself as you move left to right and all that stuff and up and down. But for right now, I just want to make sure the model has loaded correctly, and I want to be able to just rotate around and see what I can do with just the cursor keys and stuff. So, because the next thing I want to do is, if this is working relatively well, I want to look at. I got two more things I want to look at. One is mouse stuff, which I don't think is going to be too bad, and I want to look at the menus. I want to get like a very, very, very basic menu going. Because part of that is I'm going to need to get a whatchamacallit, a finite state machine going, which is a fancy term for I need a variable that tells me what state the engine's in. So like when the menu is on, you want the engine to be kind of paused, kind of, sort of. And when the menu goes away, you want the engine to not be paused anymore, so you can rotate around. That also comes into play with like what the keyboard keys and the input keys map to. So like if you're in the menu, like the up and down arrow keys should manipulate the menu. But when you're not in the menu, it should manipulate the camera, right? So part of that is knowing what state you're in as far as the engine is concerned, with the variables and stuff. So they call that as finite state machine, meaning that you go from one state to another state to another state to another state. You're never in like more than one state. So you've got like, you're in a loading state, or you're in the menu, or you're not in the menu, or you're somewhere else. And then by doing that, I can pass that into the input processing, and the input processor can then say, okay, if I'm in, the game playing state, then the arrow keys do this. If I'm in the menu open state, then the arrow keys do that, blah, 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 all that stuff. Doing good, waiting for the Xmas. Yep. I think everybody is. I think everybody is. Um, it's an interesting time of the year. Put it mildly. Um, on the one hand, I like that I have a bunch of time off coming up, um, which is really why I enjoy it the most. Is I got a lot of time off coming up. On the other hand, I've got I'm getting a year older, so ugh. It's what I say to that. Um, I'll have to actually. I'm actually catching up with the year, so I'll be 44, which is not a happy number. Okay, Outlaw. Thanks for hanging on. Thanks for dropping by. Have a good day. So that's kind of where I'm at. But I've already like bought presents for myself. I've got a new monitor now. And maybe and I got like bought a couple game development books, but you know, nothing too crazy. So good stuff. Excuse me. Oh. Oh. What are we at? Almost 2 hours. I'm gonna just stand up and stretch for a couple minutes, and I'm debating. I might get some more coffee. Yeah, I think I'll get some more coffee too. So give me like 3 minutes or so to kind of stretch and give the coffee maker a chance to make some stuff, and I'll be right back. So hang tight, friends. Okay, back. Let's get back down to a level where I'm not competing with it. Okay. All right. Let's see if we can finish out this class here. So I get the idea between having an add rotation, but I feel like you'd want to rotate. Huh. Yeah, I guess because you can rotate in both directions. That's why they're doing an add rotation. All right. It's fine, I guess. Let's get the recalculate method first. So private void recalculates. And view matrix dot identity rotate x rotate y translate. I wonder why. I guess that makes, yeah, never mind. I guess it makes sense. Rotation dot x. Rotate y. And then translate. Which would be X, Y, and Z. So position X, position Y, position Z. Okay. Oh, it's doing negative X, Y, and Z. Okay. Interesting. All right, so then public void add rotation. Float X, float Y. Rotation add. Yeah, why is it just X and Y and not also Z? Oh. rotation is 2f. Okay. That explains that. It's not vector 3f, it's vector 2f. Rotation. Yeah. And then just call recalculate on it. Although I don't know if I want to always constantly do recalculate or if I want to wait until multiple things are chained together, but do that for now just for convenience. Rotation. So then it's an increments position sub direction. I calculate. Okay. That's the one way to do it. It's, yeah, negate it and then, yeah, okay. Backwards. I mean, that makes sense. Move backwards. An odd question is Mardiarn a form of Japanese? No idea. Is that... Are you asking about Mandarin? Mandarin is Chinese, I believe. I've never heard of that particular one. Although it's, yeah. Yeah, sorry. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, Mandarin is, I believe it's a dialect of Chinese. It's hard to, I don't actually know the specifics of it, because there are Mandarin speakers and then there are Chinese speakers, and generally speaking, there's like a big cultural difference between the two. I think, yeah, I don't know what the cultural difference is between the two. There is a big one though, from what I understand. But it's that's my understanding of it. I don't know. But there's definitely people who know one but not the other, right? There's enough of a difference between the two that there are people who know Mandarin but don't know Chinese, and people who know Chinese but don't know Mandarin. Like, there's a huge, like, rift is not the right way of saying it, but there's a gap between the two that's significant. Positive Z. Yeah, no, no problem. No problem whatsoever. None whatsoever. I think a lot of the stuff you see on Steam and stuff is like they'll offer like Chinese and then simplified Chinese. Um, but I don't know how many do more than that. That's a good question. That I don't know. Um, Internationalization's always been kind of a. It's something I've always tried to make sure I include, but at the same time, it's always been kind of a black box to me because it's like I can provide a means to do it, but I don't have the means to actually test it. Like I only know one language, so it's like, you know, I could put all the stuff in place and I can kind of give it a little bit of a test, but I can't, you know. I've never had an implementation where we had a full like a full application that was an application that was like fully translated. Like you'll have like a little, like a phrase here or there or something, but nothing full bore. So, which is interesting because in and of itself, because you end up making a lot of decisions, like particularly for web applications, you end up making a lot of decisions about where buttons should be and how much room they should take up based entirely on English. But then as soon as you put like a foreign characters in there and multi-byte characters and stuff like that, like it could just kind of push everything around and make it look just absolutely terrible. But we never really test for that. So it's just like, it just is what it is. And either get lucky and everything looks good, or you really don't get lucky at all and everything's terrible looking. Positive Z direction. Oh, that's what the direction's for. Well, yeah, no, that makes sense. Direction you're pointing. Yeah, no, never mind. View matrix, positive Z direction, negate. All right, view matrix, positive Z direction, negate, multiply, increments, and then and then position, subtract direction. It doesn't sound right. You're subtracting the direction. Position. That doesn't sound right, but we'll roll with it. I kind of use anime to teach you our movies to learn other languages. Seem to be learning the coding faster. I wouldn't say I'm learning it faster. I am mostly I'm mostly copying what the example that was out there online, just to get something working or to see how it's working, and then I intend on going in and just kind of moving stuff around and making it kind of work for me, is really what it's coming down to. Because as I was saying earlier in the stream, like the thing I've noticed with a lot of the Java, like game development tutorials and books and stuff, is that they're not really good. And a lot of them seem to be basically looking at the C++ tutorials and just rewriting them in Java. So while you're getting stuff that works, they're not writing examples that the way a Java developer would write examples, right? They're writing examples the way someone who just looked at a C++ example, translating directly to Java would write it. And so there's just kind of weird things that just kind of throw me off, like the way they have things separated but not separated, the way they have constructors that are doing a lot of heavy lifting for no real reason. Like even with this class in particular, they had a constructor that was just setting the defaults on all these, right? It's like, why not just set the defaults when you create them, right? Like, why are you creating a constructor that you don't need? That's not something that someone who's worked in Java for a while and done a lot of projects in Java would do, right? So it's just kind of little things like that I'm seeing in a lot of the examples and the tutorials for Java stuff. And I get it, because like there aren't any really good tutorials to go by, but the ones that are out there are not really helping their case, because they're really just they're not taking a step back and writing it the way someone who's used to Java would understand it, would write it, which can be positive or negative. I guess it really depends on the direction you're looking at it. Like they're looking at it from, I guess, if you're coming at it from a perspective of someone who doesn't know Java very well, then that's probably fine the way they're doing it. But if you're coming at it from a perspective of someone who does know Java very well, it just irks you a little bit looking at it. So that's kind of where I'm at. And I'm honestly surprised that there's a lot of people, particularly like, tech influencers and stuff and coders that stream and stuff like that love streaming like challenging stuff, that love to challenge themselves and stream it and do that stuff. And I'm honestly surprised there aren't more of them trying to tackle this, because this is challenging, right? It's like trying to get, the tools are there to enable Java to do 3D game development using OpenGL and Vulkan and all the, the back ends. And there's a lack of good tutorials on it that are written in Java anyway. And I'm surprised there aren't more out there just trying to like flex their muscles a little bit and challenge themselves a little bit by doing it. Because it is, full disclosure, back in college, I did take a computer graphics course like on the side. And I did write in C. I did do some OpenGL code where I had like I made a solar system, basically, of just planets just rotating around a star, just to show that I understood like the basic concepts of computer graphics and stuff like that. To the professor who like this was an independent study course. This wasn't a real like there wasn't a class or anything. Like I had to go off on my own and do stuff. And so I'm actually like a lot of these calls to like OpenGL and stuff are familiar in that I remember them back from when I was doing OpenGL like 1.2 or whatever it was, or 1.1 in C. But like I'm having to go way back in my brain to remember things and like, you know, if I didn't have that background in it, like none of this probably would make any real sense. I mean, even now, it kind of I'm still struggling with some basic concepts because I didn't get very deep into it when I did it, and you know, we're talking like 30 some odd years ago. So you know, yeah, I'm just surprised. Like, there's so many really good, talented people who are like streaming themselves coding and stuff, or on YouTube and whatnot, doing YouTube videos, and I'm surprised none of them have taken up the challenge of trying to take this on and seeing what they can do. What's going on there? That was weird. Looked like there was a special character there or something. Where that came from. So yeah, it's just kind of surprised by that, because it seems like it'd be up a lot of people's alley to just be like, yeah, let's try and make this work. Let's make a tutorial out of this and see what we can do with it. All right, move down. Positive Z. Oops, move down. Positive Y. Positive Y up. Multiply by increment. Position sub up. Just see what this is doing. Oh, I see what it's doing. Okay, so the sub is subtracting it and then putting it back into direction and back into up. That's why it's... See, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense. This makes a lot of sense in C, when you're working with pointers and stuff. It does not make a whole lot of sense in Java, but okay. I see what they're doing there. These are passed by reference, so it's just changing the references. I give you a headache thinking about it. Yeah, it's... I mean, you know, it's one of those things where you can just kind of... Like, you can really... Like, everything's doable once you break it down into small pieces, you know? And you have time. You give yourself time to just... mull over it and stuff. Left. So this is X probably. Positive X. Right. Multiply by increment. Position. Separate and then calculate. Yeah, it comes down to the thing that I tell people a lot, which is position add right. Yeah, okay. Um, thing I tell people a lot, which is don't worry about making something good right away, right out of the box. You'll eventually get to a point where you really want to make something look, that's good. But it takes a long time to get there, right? And it's like, just enjoy the process and just take your time and just practice, It's, I mean, it's like, I get people asking like, well, why are you trying to learn game dev and Java? It's like, well, I'm most familiar with Java, and that right away eliminates a lot of the strife, right? Because now I can go and I know the basics, and I'm not trying to like relearn. Like I could do it in C++, but I'd have to relearn the language. It's not that I don't know the language, it's that I haven't used it in so long that I'd end up spending a lot of time just in basic concepts that have nothing to do with the actual game development stuff. And what I want to do is just learn the game development part of it. And then invariably the follow-up question is, well, how do you expect to make anything good in Java with all the problems that Java has? It's like, I'm not expecting to make anything good. Like, it might very well not work very well. It might not perform very well. It may end up being a complete and utter waste of material, but it won't be a waste of time because my time is being used to learn something, If we get to the end all the way to the end of this and like it just doesn't work out, then I'll just switch over and I'll take the knowledge I got of OpenGL and everything and Vulkan and all that stuff, and I'll go and write it in C++, Like, who the hell cares at that point? Like, it's like what's the big deal, right? I mean, it's not like I'm going to erase my memory, right? And I think far too many people are expecting that everything you do has to be, for either profit or for some kind of end goal. And it's like, it doesn't have to be an end goal. You can just appreciate the journey, right? Sometimes the journey is more important than the destination, right? You can end up with something that is just a complete, bundle of mud, but you learned a hell of a lot along the way, and then you just say, okay, go back to square one. Now take all that knowledge I've got and let's see if we can do something better, Nobody writes a award-winning novel the first time they sit down to write something. It takes a lot of practice, and that's all this is. It's practice. It's practice of learning something that I've never had to deal with before, and some of this will, invariably help me in my day job. Even though I don't do anything even remotely close to this, I might learn some pattern that I haven't used before. I might use a lambda that I've never used before, and then suddenly I'll be like, oh, that actually works out well. I can use a lambda like that in, the day job, with whatever algorithm I'm dealing with there, stuff like that. It's, oh, there's utilizing memory more than I need to utilize. Oh, there's an optimization error I never knew about, stuff like that. You never know, it's never a waste if you have the right mindset. Far too many people, I think, have a mindset of like, you must always be shooting. To use a baseball term, you must always be swinging for the fences. It's like, you know what? Sometimes you just need to get on base. Sometimes it's just good enough to get on base. You don't have to be swinging for home runs all the time. You don't have to be the hero. You can just be the NPC shopkeeper. I mean, let's face it, they're the real heroes of RPGs, right? They're the ones selling you all the good gear. Or at least selling you the good starter gear so you can find better gear. I mean, you couldn't have the game without them. You wouldn't be as successful without them, so they're truly the heroes of the game. Subposition, add, right, recalculate, positive X, multiply, blah, blah, okay, and then move up. Void, move up, float increment. People want to put you down because they can't learn it. Maybe. There might be a little bit of that. Might be a little bit of I don't know what you would call that. Jealousy, I guess, maybe? I don't know. There might be a little bit of that, but I think it's more... I think it's just more of a general mindset. The general mindset is, why would you put 200 hours into something and then have nothing to show for it at the end? Like, nothing concrete to show for it at the end. And it's like, people do that all the time, you know? It's like, that's how you get, maybe not good at something, but that's how you get better at something, right? Is you spend hundreds of hours on something that ends up being a piece of crap, but hell, you learn so much in the process, right? I think that's the thing that rubs people the most, is that it's just like they see someone who's just doing the process, you know, who's more interested in the process than in the final result, and it doesn't compute. And I get it. It's, you know, with how much money the game industry is making and stuff, like, I'm sure there's a lot of people going like, why aren't you doing this for a profit? How could you possibly be thinking of only releasing stuff open source and free? And it's like, you know, it's not really a consideration I have right now, right? I'm being completely selfish. My motives are completely selfish right now, which is, I just want to learn, right? So that's kind of where we're at, you know? And you know, I get it. I don't blame them for feeling that way, because yeah, it does look like a waste. It does, you know, they have every right to feel that way. I mean, I get it. I totally get it. You know? Increment. Position add up. And maybe that's just that might be like a knock-on effect just from the internet in general, right? Because we've gotten to a point on the internet now where we're just used to people, you know, we've heard all the stories of people we've heard all the rags to riches stories. You know, I was a poor college guy, and then I came up with this idea for a website, and now I'm making multi-millions a year and all this stuff. And a lot of people are living that dream of like, hey, I got a good job as a software developer, and, you know, I don't have to worry about bills and all that stuff. I could take care of myself and my family and not worry about it. A lot of people are living that, and so it kind of it flies in the face of the normalcy that we see every day on the internet, right? We see people, we see streamers, just kind of grinding along, and they strike it big and they make all kinds of money, and their ad revenue is through the roof and all this stuff. And then everyone else wants to be the next one on the list, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's an unreasonable it happens. It's like the lottery winning conundrum, right? You see all these people who have hit the lottery, and you think, I just gotta play it every week. I just gotta just 20 more bucks, 20 more bucks, 20 more bucks, and you just keep throwing in and throwing in and throwing in without any real concept of the fact that of just how much effort or how lucky someone got to get to where they were. Lottery is probably a bad example of that because it's mostly luck, but a career and stuff, like, there's nobody. I'd be hard pressed to think of anybody who hasn't put in some work to get to where they are in their career. You hear about it. You hear about the people who have failed upwards. But I would say the vast majority of people have actually put some effort and time in to their craft to get to where they're at. And it's not sexy. It's grindy and ugly, and it leads to a lot of blind alleys and nothing physically to show for it. But eventually it all ends up, it's cumulative. You end up somewhere, hopefully eventually, where you want to be. And you just have to spend a lot of time in the mines, so to speak. You love the hours. It makes it feel more. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's and when it comes to like streaming and stuff, there's only so much room for people at the top, right? So the idea that everyone who grinds a certain way or something like that's going to make it big is a fallacy. There's only so much consumption that can happen. There's only so many eyeballs to go around, so sometimes you just got to be happy with with the process. It's kind of like a marsh. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I mean, kind of like a march. Yeah, exactly. That's yeah. Essentially. All right, so we got move up, and so I got to change set position and set rotation. Set position, set rotation, because those are actually not real setters. So set position. You know what? I'll leave that there, but let's put an override for it. Let's do no. I better not do an override for it. Let's do it properly. So set position. Float X, float Y, float Z. Position set X, Y. Yeah, that's all they do, right? And then set rotation is the same. Did I have a set rotation? I don't think I did do a set rotation. All right. I'll just do it myself. Like void set rotation. Y. Okay. Cool. So we have that. Now the camera, and then they've added that to the scene, which I think is probably my model, right? No, not really. I can just deal with the camera separately for now. I should have a scene, I guess. Yeah, probably. But let's deal with it separately. So we're just doing new camera. Okay, so projection. So where's the thing at? There's a scene render, right? So where do we get the camera from? Scene. We have get camera. Where's this called from? Scene render. There it is. Scene render line 38. Oh, it's added to, okay, that's right. So it's added to the view matrix uniform, which I am setting over in the model renderer. Yes, I'm just doing a new matrix 4F. Okay. So we'll do, so I need the camera there. I'm doing projection matrix here. So we'll do camera, new camera, and view matrix, and then what is it? Get view matrix. That's it. Okay. Now the trick here is I need the camera defined elsewhere right now. So let's do private camera, and then I need to, so we'll do camera, equals new camera right there. Yeah. So we'll get rid of this. And I need a getter on that. So we'll just say get camera here. On that guy, just for the moment. And then when we go to process the inputs, which I think they're doing under main here. Yeah, input. They're doing scene.getCamera. So they're passing the scene into the input. So where is this called from? I think that's called from engine, isn't it? Yeah, AppLogic input. And that is target FPS delta. Okay, so call input the input processing there, which makes sense. You're processing it at the FPS. You're well, it doesn't make sense. Because someone who sets their target FPS to 240 will then have faster inputs processing. It doesn't make any sense. So I'm actually probably going to tie that to the ticks. The logic FPS, whatever they're calling it, the UPS, target UPS. I'm going to tie the input to that because then because that's not something that the user could change. Not that they could change it here in the example, but that's, thinking ahead here. So let's see. If I do, so I gotta see how they've got the input in main here, right? Yeah, so they're passing the scene into it and the window. Which makes sense because you need that for the key pressed stuff. Although, didn't I do it slightly differently where it didn't need the window? Where's my input here? So keyboard callback. Yeah, I registered a keyboard callback. Right, which gives you the window and then user input callback. Form action. Yeah, I think I removed the thing that was here, but I had let's see, team, show history. Here with working tree. Is this the same? No, it's the same. Oh, I had it in the main. I think. Yeah, here it is. So keyboard callback. Add handler. Right, I was just adding individual handlers to it. And this doesn't need the window because it was registered as a callback. That's why I'm wondering why they were passing window to their thing, but whatever. So keyboard callbacks, blah, 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 blah. Register to callbacks. That's the one thing I'm gonna have to figure out here. So, in OpenGL engine, it's not even really OpenGL engine, is it? It's really OpenGL window. Yeah, here we go. Set key callback. Register key callbacks. So I want to do that, but I want to there's a question. I mean, it's a callback, so it'll call back as soon as it gets input. But I won't. But I'll process the input at a different rate than what it's coming in. So I think that'll be okay. Yeah, I think that'll be okay. Because how are they tying this in? Yeah, see, they're just doing they're just doing like window is key pressed. They're not even doing a callback, which I don't know if that's because they're trying to make sure they only process it at a certain rate or what have you, but I feel like having the callback is the better solution. Registering the callback on the window is the better solution, I feel. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But, whoops. Gotta go this way. So, how do I want to do this in such a way that it's... Like, I could make the registered keyboard callbacks method in here. But I would like to... find a good home for it. Because the other problem is I do need to have access to the camera. Which in these, just doing it this way is not going to necessarily give me access to the camera. Let me see something here. And maybe that's why they're doing it that way that they had it. So long window, and then callback function sets the key callback. Let's specify a window which is called when a key is pressed, repeated, or released. Key functions deal with physical keys with layout independent key tokens named after their values as standard US keyboard layout. Window loses input focus. It will generate synthetic key release events for all pressed keys and associated key tokens. You can tell these events from user-generated events by the fact that the synthetic ones are generated after the focus loss event, blah, blah, blah. Scan code of a key is specific to that platform. Sometimes GLFW needs to generate synthetic key events, in which case the scan code may be 0. This function must only be called from the main thread. That explains why they're not doing the key callbacks. You can only call it from the main thread. Also, they have to pass like the scene into it. So that's why they're querying the window directly for it. So what are they doing here? They're saying window is key pressed. Oh, no, window is their class though. Window, let's see what they're doing here. So you do have a key callback. On escape. So they've got is key pressed. With the current window handle. Key code, okay. Because you also have like mouse input to worry about for that window handle. And then what's the mouse input one? Set cursor position, set cursor enter callback, mouse button callback. Left button pressed is right button pressed. Interesting. So they're setting a callback to themselves, and they're just processing it in mouse input. So why don't you have a keyboard input then, class? Like, that would make the most sense to do the same thing with the keyboard input and just put the whatever keys are pressed in there, right? Unless I'm missing some context here. Where's that? Oh, because you have to ask if a particular key is pressed. You can't just get a generic, but the callback gives you a generic thing, right? Am I going crazy here? So the register keyboard callbacks. And you have to register handlers for each of the keys. Yeah, so, but that's still, that still makes sense. Okay. I can see where the complication is coming in. Okay, Premier. Well, thanks for dropping by. I appreciate it. Have a good night. I can see where the complication comes in here. It's how it's being processed. And what I really want is... Yeah. See, I made the user input callback thing as a way to put more stuff in there. Well, yeah, not really. Yeah, see, so the callback itself tells you what key, what window. Right. Yeah, this is implementing the GLFW key callback interface. Callback key is pressed, repeated, or released. Keyboard key that was pressed or released. Action is the key action. One of press, release, repeat. Okay. Mods, bit field describing which modifier keys were held down. Okay. Got it. Okay. So how do so I want to incorporate this. I want to incorporate this into the larger thing. I want to do it in a way that's not crazy, that also has access to things like the camera. Because we don't have a scene object. We just have the renderer. Do I have that in the window here? No, I think I have that in the engine. I have that in the engine itself. Uh, so because these things are tied to window, it makes sense that the input's tied to the window. I mean, that makes perfect sense. But the engine is fired up. Oh, the engine has a reference to the window. Well, to my window object. So it seems to me like I would have a method on window that's just handle input. And when the window fires up, it needs to register the input callbacks it needs. And the thing is, I'm trying to figure out what's tripping me up a little bit is I'm trying to figure out what would be a good model for, like, what would be a good abstraction for the keyboard and mouse input and eventually controller inputs, right? Because at the end of the day, you have a limited set of actions. Limited. Well, you have a set of actions that can be performed. And those actions map onto whatever input device you're allowing. So for instance, you want to move the camera to the left, or you want to move the player to the left. Well, that action is abstract in that all you're trying to accomplish is to move the player to the left. And it doesn't really matter what the input is, just as long as it matches the action of moving the player to the left. So in other words, moving the player to the left is the abstraction. The implementation is, left, A on the keyboard, or moving the left thumbstick to the left on a controller, or, maybe even something with a mouse, which wouldn't work too well, but you know what I mean. But you get where I'm going at. So there's the abstraction, which is the actual action, and then there's the concrete implementation, which is the actual input device. And every input device is different. And I'm trying to figure out in my mind, how do I make the abstraction, how do I separate the abstraction enough from the actual input device implementation that I can kind of keep the internal workings of something away from the actual the stuff the engine actually cares about, which is, hey, I gotta do something right now. Hey, I gotta rotate to the left, or hey, I gotta move to the left, or whatever. And to me, the window and the engine objects should be, I mean, yes, they make low level calls, but they should be fairly high levels in terms of like an abstraction, I guess. If I can accomplish that anyway. So I have a keyboard callback that I can register, and it's generic enough that I can just kind of have it out there and have it process, have that same call, have that callback process all the inputs from the keyboard. The thing is how, like, at some point I need to initialize what it's actually listening for, and I'm trying to figure out in my head, like, what is the best way for that to come together. Obviously I could just slap something together right now and then kind of look at it and just sort of work with it. But this is one of those things that's got, like, you need to rewrite this written all over it. You know what I mean? Like, I can slap something together, but I'm going to have to end up probably re-architecting it and rewriting it. And I'm worried that I'll get to a point where it's like, it's not possible to even do that because it's just going to be messy regardless of what I do. So I'm trying to put the extra thought into it right now, so that maybe it'll probably still be messy, but maybe it won't be a mess that is insurmountable, without a rewrite, at least in theory. And that's kind of where I'm trying to figure out at the moment. Yeah. So we have a camera object, and that's moving around. Just, you know what? We can, real fast here, just verify that I haven't broken anything. So let's do this. Okay, so I haven't broken anything, so that's good. And that's using the new camera object. So, even if I were to throw in what I already had, how do I access the camera? Because the camera is on the renderer, which is in the engine. The window doesn't actually know about the engine at all. So that would mean I would have to put, but the engine does know about the window, but it's too late by that point, right? Because it calls new OpenGL window, which calls init. And I don't know if you can do... Can I delay the call to set key callback? Does it have to happen right away? Like, does it have to happen before I do the show window, or can I register it after show window is done? Let me see something. If I look at this, We got textures, frame rendering. Frame buffers. Can I search for this one? Oh, it's not GL. It's GLFW, which is a different library. Input reference. There we go. So let's see where this is at. Oops. GLFW set key callback. That's the key callback of the specified window, which is called when a key is pressed, repeated, or released. The key functions deal with physical keys with layout independent key tokens. When the window loses input focus, it will generate synthetic keys. Yeah. The scan code is specific to the platform. See also key input. Thread safety, this function must only be called from the main thread. Set a key callback. The callback function receives a keyboard key. The action is one of, right, key events, repeat, are intended for text input. We want existing key tokens, and scan code is unique. This function only returns cached key event state. It does not poll the system for the current state of the physical key. It also does not provide any key repeat information. Whenever you poll state, you risk missing the state change you're looking for. If a pressed key is released again before the poll is stated, you will have missed a key press. Recommended solution for this is to use a key callback, but there's also GLFW sticky keys input. Okay. Sticky keys mode is enabled. The pollable state of the key will remain pressed until the state of that key is polled with that. Okay. Input mode. Text input. Huh. Well, this goes over all the inputs, but it doesn't actually say... GLFW set window size implement with will send window size events directly to the event callback. Wait events timeout. Post empty event. Oh, that's event processing. Receive a window handle by using the window user pointer. You can access non-global structures. Events test program. Events. Mode. Joystick hat events, gamepad input, time input, okay. Clipboard, path drop, okay. Yeah, it doesn't actually mention here that it has to be in a particular order. Like it has to come before show window or anything. So I'm wondering if I make this a method on window here, on OpenGL window, and I pass a function to it, then I'm wondering if I can just set it on there on this Windows handle and then give it whatever additional data I have in the engine. Yeah, I might be able to do that. That might work. That might work. Okay. I don't know if I'm going to do that now, though. It's the next thing I need to do. Certainly. But one, I've made some good progress, and two, my brain is not functioning right now. So I think I'm going to stop there for today. I mean, it would be nice to make even more progress. It'd be nice to be able to rotate around and make sure everything loaded and all that stuff, but I'm kind of happy where we're at. I guess I could change the position of it manually here. Like if I change the... If I change the Y rotation to... let's try 3F. Let's just see what that does. Oh, it's tilted down a little bit. Okay, so if I set this to 50. No, I guess it wasn't tilted down. Maybe not. Maybe not, after all. What if I change this to 2F here? Okay, well, it's definitely changed. Not the way I wanted it to, but it's changed. Let's try this. Let's try the X here. Okay. You're seeing it from different sides. It does look like some stuff has loaded, though. Let's see if I can... If I rotate this way, that's... I might be rotating it too much. What if I did 1.56? Not sure. Not sure if that's working or not. 1.90. I say. What if I manually move the camera? How about if I do... let's do camera dot add rotation. Let's do 0F here, and then we'll add I don't know, 5F there. Okay. Yeah, rotate it a little too much. Let's try 0.30. Yeah, okay. So it's rotating to the right a little bit. Okay, okay. So let's do 0. So I don't need, so it's not rotation. Let's say move up by F. There we go. Okay, so move the camera up a little bit, and I can see decals are loaded up there, so that's good. Okay. Okay. All right. That's really what I wanted to see, if it was loading all the textures or not. It looks like it it is from that perspective. Okay, that's fine. And then we'll figure out the. So I feel like the camera should be 3F and not 2F, or not the camera, the rotation. I think they were only doing. Well, we'll see when I wire things up. We'll see how it goes. But it's kind of bugging me a little bit. It might be only 2 if it's like if you're doing it from the perspective of a person, maybe. But in space, you're going to want it to rotate in all 3 directions, right? Anyway, we'll see. We'll come to that bridge. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Let me go and commit what we got so far. So add that in, and we'll say got model loading correctly. Beginnings of camera and rotation. Camera and inputs. All right, cool. So that's out there now. So good stuff. Good stuff. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm gonna stop there for right now, my friends. And I don't think I'll be streaming later on. Sorry, I was looking at something there. think this has been updating. Yeah, Caster Labs has not updated the chat at all today. I don't think they realize that their chat is completely broken. Anyway, sorry, I was just looking at that. I'm like, why am I seeing chat over there? And that's last night's chat. It's not today's chat. Anyway, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to stream tonight or not. I might not. It depends. I might, in a couple hours, I might decide to jump on and do something. I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards maybe not, but we'll see. We'll see on that regard as we're doing things. But yeah, I want to thank you all for being here. I'm looking around at who I can potentially raid. Yeah, it looks like Jay is on right now doing some Resident Evil Code Veronica. I will see if I can raid him over on Twitch. Let me. Oh, you know what? I should have. Let me get a link here. All right. So, in case the raid doesn't go through, here is the link to his channel. Put that in the various chats. But anyway, my friends, like I said, that'll do it for me for right now. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I hope everyone has an excellent morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on what it is for you. And hope to see you back here again in the future for some more stuff, whatever happens to suit your fancy. Until then, see you, bye.
Same old story. Boy finds girl, boy loses girl, girl finds boy. Boy forgets girl, boy remembers girl. And girl dies in a tragic blimp accident over the Orange Bowl on New Year's Day.
Good year.
No, the worst.